Leon Edwards was supposed to beat Sean Brady, then go out and rematch Bilal Muhammad if he got through JDM. I don't know what to think about Leon Edwards. It's kind of hard to place him right now in the rankings. We're going to go ahead and have that conversation a little later in this video. But before we do, all I ask is for you guys to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know down in the comment section below. Do you guys think Leon Edwards deserves to be, a contender right now, a person that has to be taken serious in the welterweight division? Does he still have what it takes to be a champion in that division? Let me know down in the comments. So, Leon Edwards, of course, some people are saying that he is one of the worst champions in UFC history. I disagree with that take personally. I feel like there's some champions in, the UFC period that have showed pretty bad performances. One, I think, the latest one would probably be Jamal Hill, up there in the light heavyweight division. I think that he would be, a good example of a bad champion, especially one that's worse than Leon Edwards, in my honest opinion. I don't think that Leon Edwards is a bad champion per se, but I just do think that he has like that grit, almost that every champion has, like there's some fighters out there that just win off pure grit, and Leon Edwards isn't one of those guys. He doesn't have, that like lion type, I'm gonna go out there and absolutely destroy you type of style. He's a much more calculated type guy. We kind of did see him with a little bit of grit, whenever he was fighting like Kamaru Usman, especially in the last round when he got that knockout, and especially in his last performance against Kamaru Usman, a guy that was super dominant in the welterweight division. We saw a little bit of grit from Leon Edwards, but Leon Edwards is like a wishy-washy type fighter, because sometimes you do see like him turning it on, and then sometimes we do see Leon Edwards just go to the stool and just look completely deflated, and he looks mentally defeated. So Leon Edwards, in my opinion, you know, uh, I do think that he is a guy that has a super weak mental, in my honest opinion, and that's the main thing that sets back Leon Edwards, because whenever he feels like he starts losing, he starts making some reckless mistakes. Of course, we did see last night that there were some fans that were leaving the stadium because Leon Edwards was losing the fight. That was absolutely sad to see. And then we did see Leon Edwards probably make one of the worst decisions ever in a fight. He's getting dominated already. We know that Sean Brady likes to attack in the clinch. Leon Edwards finally finds some space to where he could like probably, land some kicks, be a little bit offensive, even retreat, look for a different opportunity to land. But then what does he do here? He goes for a takedown, and Sean Brady, easy reversal, gets on top of him, and then gets in a dominant position. And that was the beginning of the end. And it gets even worse, because on live television, post fight, Sean Brady gets interviewed,
And this is something that I was talking to
and they ask him about that takedown, and it's just hard to watch.
Karen about before, and then Mike brought it up, and that is his shot in the third round.
Horrible idea.
Were you as surprised as we were?
I was like, thank you. He said, I think he was like, oh, fuck. Oh, no.
Man.
He said something like he knew he fucked up. So I was very happy when he did that.
Yeah, just overall bad decision making by Leon Edwards. Oh fuck. If he actually did say that, I believe it. I actually do believe it. I don't know why Leon Edwards would shoot for a takedown. Like, that is some really bad decision making. That's almost like a last ditch effort to try to make some sort of, momentum, try to get momentum for yourself, but that's not the way that you do it. In my predictions video, I said that if Leon Edwards fights a very, very smart fight, almost a boring fight, that he could win some rounds and potentially beat someone like Sean Brady, which we all knew and expected, to try to look for grappling and wrestling positions against someone like Leon Edwards and try to edge out the win that way. When we look at the welterweight division, ladies and gentlemen, it's kind of hard to place Leon Edwards, because everybody in the top 5 right now has either is inactive or has a fight already booked or already beat Leon Edwards. Of course, we know that Bilal Muhammad beat Leon Edwards. Shavkat Raghmanov was supposed to get that fight against Bilal Muhammad, but of course got injured. Kamaru Usman, for some reason, is still ranked number 3 in the welterweight division, but is completely inactive for some reason. He deserves to get that ranking, even though he hasn't won a fight in like God knows how long. Jack Della Maddalena, of course, he's gonna have that fight with Bilal Muhammad, and then Sean Brady just beat Leon Edwards. So that leaves everybody else in the top 10. I mean, Jeff Neal right now, of course, probably, not going to fight any Leon Edwards anytime soon. I think he has that fight with Carlos Parates. Kobe Covington probably doesn't deserve to fight Leon Edwards either. The only fighter here, there's only two names that I could read off here that probably are gonna fight Leon Edwards next, and that's either Joaquin Buckley, or maybe three names to be honest. Joaquin Buckley, Ian Machado Gary, and maybe Gilbert Burns. I think those are the only three names, honestly, that could face off against Leon Edwards and give Leon Edwards a good chance of winning. I mean, Ian Machado Gary probably, in my honest opinion, based on what we saw against Shavkat Ragmanov, where he did have some good performance, some good moments in that fight. I think that he would give Leon Edwards a run for his money, and I think that he would probably end up being the favorite to win that matchup because Ian Machado Gary doesn't have the best striking, does get caught a lot, and it sometimes does look like a punching bag. He has some pretty decent grappling fundamentals. You know, he does have uh some good fundamentals when it comes to holding, his opponent on the ring, not on the ring, but on the fence. And that's Leon Edwards' freaking kryptonite. Anybody that grapples against him, just seems to have a lot of success. Gilbert Burns, another guy. I mean, he is a little bit older. He did get knocked out by Jack de la Maddalena, but I think that Gilbert Burns will still probably give Leon Edwards a really, really good fight. And Joaquin Buckley, I mean, he's been on an absolute tear. I think he's in a winning streak in the welterweight division, has a lot of power. I think that Joaquin Buckley, based on this position, because he is a very striking heavy dude, would make a very, very um, interesting, intriguing, highlight type fight to Leon Edwards. Also, this position that seems to be very, very striking heavy. I wouldn't be surprised that Leon Edwards would be looked at as like a gatekeeper type fighter. In my honest opinion, if your goal is to be a champion and you start getting looked at as like the gatekeeper, you are in a terrible position in your career. And I think that, Leon Edwards should consider retirement if he doesn't want to be in that position. Because there's a lot of fighters in front of him that are very, very interesting matchups against him that just so happen to be or above average when it comes grappling, like Ian Machado Gary, of course, Sean Brady. I wouldn't pick Leon Edwards to win over Sean Brady if there was ever a rematch. Someone like Shavkat Ragmanov, that's also very grappling and wrestling heavy. I wouldn't pick Leon Edwards to win that against that matchup. It's just gonna be really, really hard for Leon Edwards to climb in this particular situation that he's in, that has a lot of fighters that are much more well equipped with grappling and wrestling, and just overall a more complete fighter, in my honest opinion. I feel like with the way that Leon Edwards performed last night, there is some very important questions that he needs to ask himself on whether or not he could still compete at the top of the game with some fighters that definitely could expose him on his big freaking uh, kryptonite, which seems to be grappling and wrestling disposition.